It's that time of year again. The city of Yuma and Yuma County are once again offering drop-off sites for those who wish to safely dispose of their natural Christmas trees. It's important to drop off your tree because your dried out tree could become a fire hazard. Last year, over 700 trees were collected and turned into roughly 7.5 tons of mulch, which was used by the Parks and Recreation Department to keep our parks looking beautiful. Please remember when dropping off your tree to remove your ornaments, tinsel, and lights. If you plan on leaving your tree up a little longer, you can drop off your tree in late January at the county site. This program is open to all residents and co-sponsored by Yuma County Public Works and the Arizona Department of Transportation.
Covering Yuma and the Imperial Valley, this is Sunrise on KYMA News 11.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Molly Lang, and it seems colder than any other morning. Is there a cold front coming in, Nick? We'll send it right on over to him.
Oh, actually, there was one last night that moved its way through. We saw that. That's what really kicked up our winds last night and brought in some really cold air over the last 24 hours, and we're starting to see that right now. You can really pick it up on the moisture where this cold, drier air mass moved through Los Angeles, Las Vegas, and eventually in through the Imperial Valley. Temperatures right now 30s and 40s, and certainly a lot colder than it was this time yesterday. Check out the Imperial Valley, 20 degrees difference this time yesterday. Brr, that's a cold one out there. And certainly we are going to see a colder day today. Temperatures going to struggle to get into the 60s, 62 in Imperial for your high temperature. Certainly a change from this time yesterday. And when we look at our overnight lows, it's even colder tomorrow night than it was tonight, 30s. We'll talk more about colder weather on the way too. Coming up in your 8-day forecast. Molly, there we go. Molly, colder weather's on the way. How do you like it?
Well, I don't know if I'm ready for it. I'm going to have to pull out my winter coats and scarves and all of that. I've been used to the warm Yuma weather for too long. Well, protesters in California didn't take the holiday off from protesting the deaths of Michael Brown and Eric Garner at the hands of police officers. About 150 people marched Thursday night calling for an end to police shootings, blocking streets on downtown Oakland, bringing buses to a halt and chanting Black Lives Matter. Highway Patrol was able to keep demonstrators from blocking traffic on major freeways. Some protesters smashed windows and started a dumpster fire. Oakland police officials report that they have spent more than $1 million in overtime policing these now regular events. Well, a winter storm brought snow and strong winds to California's Sierra Nevada mountains overnight, a gift for skiers and sledders. And some areas received between 3 to 6 inches of snow with up to 10 inches in the highest elevations. The snow wasn't enough to keep residents and their pets indoors. As you can see, these labs are enjoying frolicking in the snow, and many took their skis and sleds out for a run, all having fun in a winter wonderland. Well, the black bear that has been invading authorities near Phoenix has been captured. This is video from earlier this week as the young bear ran from wildlife officials. Yesterday morning, an officer tranquilized the animal near a residential area. The bear is a male, believed to be 2 to 3 years old and about 150 pounds. Game and Fish officials will keep the bear in a rehabilitation facility through the winter and determine whether it can be released back into the wild. Well, a Navy ship completed its final mission on Christmas Eve. The U.S. Peleliu returned to the naval base in San Diego on Wednesday afternoon after completing its final mission. Now that the ship is in port, the crew will make preparations to make sure that it's ready for March. Its final mission was a 6-month deployment to the Western Pacific. Well, the ship performed 17 missions over the course of 34 years and traveled over 1 million miles. It's named after the Battle of Peleliu during the World War II. Well, a 3-alarm fire damaged 3 homes in San Francisco shortly after daybreak yesterday morning. While smoke was billowing from one of the homes and the fire spread quickly, the flames and heat became so intense that the crews had to be pulled back for their safety. At one point, nearly 100 firefighters were working to bring the blaze under control. Officials say no one was injured, but 2 cats died, unfortunately. But several other pets were rescued. were rescued. Well, now that Christmas has come and gone, the real shopping begins as everyone runs to cash in on the after Christmas sales. That story tops out our look at national news in the day ahead shopping. Warriors will be out in force today searching for an abundance of bargains. Analysts say that after Christmas sales this year, they're expected to break records. Many stores have already debuted their sales with as much as 60 to 70% off some items. Some shoppers will also be waiting in long lines to return gifts, but you should find deep discounts on everything from apparel to consumer electronics. New York City is ready for the wake of New York City is ready for the wake of fallen New York City officer Rafael Ramos. Visitors will pay their respects to Ramos at Christ Tabernacle Church in Queens tonight. Funeral services will be held on Saturday. Officer Ramos and his partner, Wei Jiang Lu, were shot and killed last weekend while they were sitting in their patrol car in Brooklyn. Well, moving on to tourism in Cuba. We have that story. The Cuban tourism industry is hoping for a boom after the U.S. government announced plans to lift travel and financial restrictions on Cuba. In order to visit Cuba, U.S. citizens are required to join an authorized travel group to apply for a license for research. Tourists often complain that group travel is too expensive and that they face inconveniences while visiting Cuba, like not being able to use American credit cards or bringing back goods bought in Cuba. The U.S. government announced last week that it will expand the categories of groups that are allowed to visit Cuba and streamline the procedures for applying for a license. Apart from easing the travel ban and financial restrictions on Cuba, the White House plans also include leading efforts to lift the 54-year-old trade embargo. Well, Cuba used to be one of the most popular destinations for U.S. tourists, but the 1961 U.S. trade embargo deprived the Cuban tourism industry as one of the largest overseas markets. Well, moving on to a sweet Christmas story involving military, a joyous reunion for the group of Massachusetts military policemen just in time for Christmas. They've been serving for months at Guantanamo Bay, and they just got back the day before the big holiday. Kimberly Bookman was there for the homecoming.
After 10 months away, it couldn't have been easy for these military police soldiers to keep formation. But in this gym and wear, they had to wait just a few more minutes.
Welcome home. Yeah!
Before hearing the magic words.
Attention! Dismissed!
And just like that, this tight formation gave way to hugs and kisses and tears.
She asked Santa for her brother to come home before Christmas, and we were able to make that happen, so it's a good feeling.
All Nina Kotfila wanted for the holidays was her big brother.
The best thing in the world.
The unit has been stationed at Guantanamo Bay, 10 months without their families and friends.
Kind of overwhelming, but it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's a long time away.
Staff Sergeant Kevin Morris hasn't seen his baby boy Kellen since he was born.
It's an amazing feeling.
Finally, reunited with Kellen, his daughter Megan, his wife Marcy, and his mother, a full family for the first time.
We're going to go home and just enjoy each other. Get to learn what it's like to be a family of four.
These troops may have missed home, but this year they won't miss Christmas.
Merry Christmas!
Well, that was a beautiful story. I know that they look forward to having them come home, especially for Christmas. Well, a gift from his family that was nearly 70 years in the making, Theo Keat explains. Sorry about that. We'll have that story coming up right after the break. so tired.
They lost that video, so it just killed it. And yeah.
So when, it's my own damn fault, but when I don't clean up scripts, I have to.
That. Oh my God. Oh, I saw that. There were several times. You covered it nicely.
I had to just kind of talk until my foot caught up with me.
Yeah. We have a dump button actually in ours, so that you can really scroll.
Well, yeah, I don't want to be light. I don't want to be under. I mean, you could put it at the beginning of the block.
How much time?
How much time? 2 minutes. Yeah, you could put it before Secret Santa if you can get it.
You kind of cute.
Surrounded by family, 98-year-old World War II vet John Rogers is living history.
That is amazing.
So how is this block going to go? Are we
The exhibit
gonna
aims to
open
capture
with
the
weather?
feel.
Is it weather next? Okay, and then we'll come back to, then we'll go to break? So I'll toss to Nick.
She tossed to me, I tossed to her, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Whole lot of tossing.
As long as it's not salad.
Wait. I don't know if I have the intro. Where's it at?
Gotta go back.
No.
Oh.
It's this one. Oh, great. All right, now that Christmas is over, I wonder if I'll start seeing some warmer temperatures. We have meteorologist Nick Maruziak in the house to tell us more.
It doesn't look like we're going to see any warmer temperatures anytime soon. Reason why is cold front moving its way through. Now that's bringing some snow in towards Colorado and also some rain in New Mexico. But for us, well, we're seeing just a lot cooler temperatures. You can really see kind of the air swinging around us, especially to our south. That's a sign that we've gotten a colder air mass in. And also we saw those winds pick up. That's from the cold front as well. It got up to 22 miles an hour in Blythe. Most other areas were in the 10 to 15 mile an hour range. And we saw that all throughout the day, but it ended as we headed into the overnight hours. And I'm not expecting the winds to pick up that strong today. Another thing we noticed is a lot cooler, drier air mass came in. So this is our moisture trend. Blues refer to areas where it's drier and a little bit cooler. And you can see we are right in the heart of that cooler, drier air. And all across the desert Southwest, whether you're in Flagstaff where it's below freezing, in towards San Diego where it's at 48 degrees, a much, much cooler start today. Temperature-wise, we're going to get into the 60 days, but very close to not getting there. So low 60s, and then tonight, expect some really cold weather. Into the 30s, we're going to be nearing freezing in some spots. Now, we're not going to hit the magical freezing mark, but we're going to make a run for it, especially in the Imperial Valley. So one of those really cold nights that winter is here, even though we are in Yuma and in Imperial Valley, it is going to be here, going to be a lot cooler. And that goes for our high temperatures tomorrow. 59 degrees in Yuma. We're going to see 60 in Imperial and 57 in Blythe. So much cooler weather is the story for the next few days, especially for tomorrow. Now we do start to see things warm up slightly, but the winds are also going to pick up tomorrow, 12 miles per hour. And you notice everything out of the northwest, that's a cooler and drier air mass. And that's where we're seeing everything come from. So when we start to see those winds, that's when we can expect some much cooler weather even further in our forecast. So again, doesn't look like a warm-up is expected. If you are traveling or perhaps maybe have family who are traveling back, looks like the only threat is near Denver where we're seeing snow. Otherwise, things look okay for today. Tomorrow, though, St. Louis all the way down, well, you're going to expect some rain, especially on the eastern seaboard in the weekend. So things aren't looking the best for travel over the next few days. When we look at our pattern, well, here's the system that's over us. And what happens is our high pressure stays off the coast. And then we get kind of a backdoor system. So instead of coming from the Pacific like we're used to seeing, this is going to come through Edmonton and Billings. And when that does, we'll expect a lot colder shot, even colder than this one as we head in towards the work week next week. So again, much cooler air mass coming into town. That's going to hit us Wednesday into Thursday, meaning our New Year's. Well, it's going to be chilly at best, and frankly, we could downright see some cold weather heading over at midnight. So going to have to bring out the winter jackets here, especially for New Year's. When we look at our 8-day forecast, Yuma is going to be getting slightly warmer into the 60s, but then check it out, right around New Year's, cooler weather, overnight lows in the 30s and 40s. In Imperial Valley, we're getting near freezing the next few nights, but it is going to warm up, and then I expect even cooler weather. Wednesday into Thursday, we have a very slight chance of wet weather coming in, only a 10 to 20% chance, but the main story is going to be that cooler weather, especially at night, Molly. So break out your winter jacket.
All right, thank you so much, Nick. I mean, we were wishing for cooler weather all summer long, and here it's come, so we might as well just be thankful for it. Well, we'll have more coming up right after the break. Stay with us.
Live from the KYMA studios, covering Yuma and the Imperial Valley, this is Sunrise on KYMA News 11.
Welcome back. Well, random acts of kindness happen throughout the holiday season, but few are this big. Eric Ahola captured the special moment for all of us to see.
I saw what she was driving to a night job 5 days a week, 60 miles round trip. All I could think of was, that ain't right.
This is your new car. This is from Santa. Anna, this is your new car.
Merry Christmas. I called my bank and said I want a personal loan. Then I came here, and Ben welcomed me at the door.
She said, you know, kind of gave me a heads up, said she had met Naomi.
Well, I met her at Goodwill a week ago.
And I wanted to do something nice for her.
Followed her out to her car and looked at her and saw her get in that car, and I said,
Transportation was kind of iffy.
And he said, Peggy, I think I have just the car for you right here.
I have a 99 Kia Sportage, and the whole bottom frame is rusted out, and the doors are practically falling apart.
No rust on it. No rust on it, girlfriend. Look at this. No rust.
None. I'm all over right now. I'm exuberantly happy. When we came over here, she said she had to pick up some boxes or cereal equipment for her nephew. I'm like, okay, cool. I'll help you. I don't mind. And I went along with it. Oh, my Lord. I'm thinking I'm getting ready to help you with boxes.
I was so excited.
I wasn't surprised. I wasn't expecting it. I definitely wasn't expecting it, but I know it happens, and I was surprised when it happened to me.
Here at Friendly Chevrolet, or just anywhere in general, it's about people first. And so, you know, it's really important for us to be a part of this. You know, even myself, it re-inspired me at Christmas time. Merry Christmas. Santa's alive. Santa's here for all of us.
This is a shock.
No worries, no worries.
I really appreciate it.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
It's the happiest day of my life.
The new year's looking brighter now, and it's starting to look a lot like Christmas.
Well, that's enough to bring a tear to your eye. And I wish we could do stuff like that all year round, not just at Christmas. Well, coming up after the break, we'll have more. Stay with us.
Live from the KYMA studios, covering Yuma and the Imperial Valley, this is Sunrise on KYMA News 11.
Well, it's the day after Christmas, and no white Christmas this year, but it is very cold out. I have meteorologist Nick Maruziak in the house to tell us how these temperatures are looking this week. Nick.
It's so cold I threw a hat on.
That's how cold it is out there. We saw a cold front move its way through this morning, and, well, it actually moved through yesterday, excuse me, and that's brought the cold air this morning, so plenty of cold air abound. I'm just going to take this off, throw that aside, but hey, you know what? Cold air is around, and check out our temperatures right now, 30s, 40s, and barely getting into the 40s, 41 in Blythe, so cooler weather is certainly here, and when we look at compared to this time yesterday, large difference. 21 degrees in Imperial Valley. Only a few spots are in the single digits away from where they were. Dew points, surprisingly, also moved down. I know we were seeing drier weather, but even those moved down. Still seeing 17, so double-digit losses there. That's a measure of moisture, so we saw a cooler, drier air mass move its way through. That's going to keep our temperatures down today. Only going to make it just out of the 60s, 62 in Yuma. 59 in Blythe, so they're not even going to make the 60s. And when we look at Imperial Valley, only a few degrees warmer. And when overnight lows, well, that's going to present a little bit of an issue, especially for those that have some crops that are really bad against the cold. 36 in El Centro tonight, 36 in Imperial Valley. Could see a few of these even get cooler as that air mass fully sets in and we have those clear skies. So definitely something to be a little bit interesting tonight. 41 in Yuma, so overnight lows, once again, cool. You're going to need the jacket no matter where you go today, and maybe a hat. Maybe not the holiday hat, but you're going to need a hat. Molly, I got to ask you, do you have one of those hats?
I might just borrow yours because it definitely is cold. I might stay indoors till it warms up a little bit. Well, America's longest war is now down to its final days, but the fight over how to end the war in Afghanistan is still being debated. NBC's Richard Jordan is in Washington with more.
Hello, everybody. Merry Christmas. The President and First Lady greeted service members at a Marine base in Hawaii. But it's those deployed in Afghanistan that are most impacted by the message he delivered and his outlook for that country's future.
Afghanistan has a chance to rebuild its own country. We are safer. It's not going to be a source of terrorist attacks again.
The withdrawal in a few days will lead to more reunions like this, a moment many military families have been waiting well over a decade for. The last year has been among the deadliest for Afghan soldiers and police officers. So to help keep the country stable, nearly 11,000 U.S. troops will stay in Afghanistan over the next few months.
We've got a pretty important mission here, so it's an honor to be a part of that, but at the same time, it's a little bit difficult being away from home.
Senator John McCain spent Christmas in Kabul. He assured the Afghan president the U.S. will not abandon Afghanistan even after American soldiers are gone.
I believe that we are now in a time where with proper support and proper effort, partnership with the United States in every way, including militarily and economically.
The U.S. is prepared to leave, but some critics aren't so sure Afghanistan can stand on its own. Richard Jordan, NBC News, Washington.
The flu outbreak is spreading across the nation. Many people are getting flu shots to combat the virus. Nurses are required to get the flu shot at some hospitals, and those who refuse may face termination. Nessida Kwan spoke with a nurse in Illinois who is facing that situation.
It's estimated that roughly half of all Americans get the flu shot, and Nurse Merrick Pisatowski says it's a good idea.
I don't have any problems with vaccinations. I've been vaccinated as a child.
What he considers a bad idea, the mandate that employees of the Cook County Health System, where he works, must get a flu shot.
You're practically being blackmailed. You either, comply with that or you get fired.
After getting the notice, he still refused. Then came another letter, and this week he and a union representative went to a hearing that could result in the loss of his job.
Constitutional rights. I should be able to choose.
Merrick Pisatowski is not alone. Across the country, healthcare workers, with nurses in the lead, are mobilizing against mandatory flu vaccinations. Some who've already lost their jobs have filed suit. Whether or not an employer can mandate a flu vaccination is a question now being answered in the courts. But even in healthcare settings, there usually are religious and health exemptions. And some hospitals simply say anyone who's not vaccinated must wear a mask. In a statement, the Cook County Health and Hospital System says to knowingly put patients and coworkers at risk when we know that risk can be reduced by a safe, effective vaccine is irresponsible. And it says the mandatory flu vaccine policy follows the recommendations from the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Pisatowski says frequent hand washing and a mask already protects patients, and patients themselves could get the flu vaccine if they haven't already.
Well, a new type of therapy could help some brain cancer patients. Allison Bruner has more on this potentially life-saving development.
Right now, I am the only certified prescriber of it in the region.
Prescribing a therapy that is giving patients with brain tumors new hope. The very kind of hope that Brittany Maynard didn't have when she became the public face of the controversial Right to Die movement. Maynard chose to end her life last month at her Portland, Oregon home. Doctors had told her that her stage 4 glioblastoma would take her life within just months.
From what the media has reported, that the young lady probably had a tumor somewhere around grade 4, and the gentleman we're talking about probably has a tumor that's maybe a grade 3.7, 3.8.
Chuck Onasorg is one of the first patients in the region who is eligible for this treatment.
Lines the cancer cells up when they line up to divide, they can't go any further. It feels kind of like a skull cap. It's a little tight, and as I turn, I can feel it pulling.
Tumor cells take about 2 to 6 hours to divide, and so if you're not wearing it, it's not working.
I mean, look at it. There's so much that you have to carry. This carries the battery and the unit, and it's got to go everywhere with me.
But thanks to this device, Chuck hopes he'll be able to go anywhere he wants, cancer-free, tumor-free.
There are patients from the original trial that was done in Europe who are still alive and doing well and off the device.
I just want people to know, anybody that has this disease, I'm working on my 8th year. This is not a death sentence.
Well, a Christmas baby is always a special gift, but for one family in Philadelphia, their gift came at a tricky time. While riding on the subway, Nefereti Yaquez spoke with the transit officer who sprang into action to delivering the bouncing baby boy.
I was hoping for a quiet shift, like don't we all? But this experience was pleasant.
Everything just happened so quick, but it was amazing.
2 SEPTA police officers jumped into action to help a mother deliver the ultimate Christmas gift this evening, a baby boy.
Officer, hey, somebody's having a baby.
Sergeant Daniel Caban says the moment they were notified there was a woman on a train in labor, he and his partner, Officer Darrell James, got on board and rushed to help.
I gotta ask, were you nervous?
Inside, I was just praying for the medics to come in and take over.
The baby had the umbilical cord a little bit wrapped around his neck, so if the baby's breathing, get the cord away from the neck. We did that, and then, you know, the mother wanted to hold the baby. The father offered the shirt off of his back to warm the baby up.
Here it comes.
As this was all unfolding, Eric Cunningham was a few feet away recording it on his cell phone. He captures the moment the officers placed the baby boy into the ambulance with his mother.
It was wonderful. They cuddled the baby, rushed it into the ambulance, took very good care of it.
It was also pretty amazing for these officers who are also fathers.
It was just a blessing during the holiday, little Christmas baby.
It's the best Christmas I've ever had.
Well, as for mom and baby, they're both doing well in the hospital. Well, now to Ferguson, Missouri, where the shootings are still continuing.
I come to lift him up. I come to give him glory.
On the predominantly black west side of St. Louis, a Christmas sermon for a troubled time.
I stopped by to tell you this morning, it doesn't look good in St. Louis. It doesn't look good in New York.
Pastor Ronald Bobo believes he knows the cause of this area's anger.
There are people who really need someone to hear their voice and not ignore them.
I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
That anger was on display last night as dozens of protesters gathered at the Berkeley, Missouri gas station where 18-year-old Antonio Martin was killed Tuesday night. The crowd, smaller and calmer than the previous night, later shut down a nearby interstate highway, and some tried to break into a store.
Berkeley officials are adamant that the shooting here was very different from the shooting of Michael Brown 5 miles from here in Ferguson, Missouri.
To try to convince a skeptical community, they released security video, which they said showed Martin pointing a gun at the officer.
This is not Ferguson just because it was 2 black teenagers and 2 white policemen does not make it the same.
But it all feeds the mistrust of police. Today, as New Yorkers mourn two policemen cut down earlier this week, officials there announced the arrest of a man for threatening to kill more officers, these weapons found in his home. After church in St. Louis, Marcia Cockle reflected on the turmoil.
There are going to be some bad things that happen, but we need to learn to heal from those things.
A Christmas message not just for this area, but for the entire country. John Yang, NBC News, Berkeley, Missouri.
Well, by the millions, people took to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and more to sound off on the year's biggest events, controversies, and personalities. Karen Kafa looks at the topics that topped social media platforms in 2014.
Hollywood's most glamorous night produced 2014's Golden Tweet. Oscars host Ellen DeGeneres shared a star-studded selfie that would be retweeted more than 3.3 million times, more than any in the platform's history. Despite the selfie craze, the year's biggest hashtags reflected deep concerns and activism around the world. Bring Back Our Girls drew the world's attention to a mass kidnapping in Nigeria. Indie Ref, the debate over a Scotland referendum to separate from the United Kingdom, which failed. Occupy Central and the Umbrella Revolution that advocated for electoral reforms in Hong Kong. And here in the U.S., don't shoot! The protests in Ferguson, Missouri after the August shooting of Michael Brown and a grand jury's decision not to indict Officer Darren Wilson in November were debated and discussed around the hashtag Black Lives Matter. The year's top Google searches also took a more serious tone. The most searched topic of 2014, actor Robin Williams, whose suicide on August 11th stunned Hollywood and fans. Also in the top three, Ebola, which prompted a stateside scare with the arrival of the first diagnosis on U.S. soil in September. But giving Google and Facebook activity a kick, the World Cup in Brazil. The soccer tournament drove more Facebook conversation than any other event in the site's history. In addition to Ebola, Brazilian elections, and Robin Williams, the summer's ALS Ice Bucket Challenge rounded out Facebook's top 5 topics around the globe. And sunny California just seemed to inspire snapshots in 2014. The most Instagram spots of the year, Disneyland in Anaheim and Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles. I'm Karen Kafa reporting.
It's always fun to look at the highlights from this last year. Well, across the country and around the world yesterday, people celebrated Christmas. It's a holiday and a feeling that transcends boundaries and brings people together. And as we saw, this Christmas was no exception. NBC's Ron Mott is just outside Rockefeller with the package.
Around America and abroad, even outer space, Christmas is celebrated. NASA astronauts Barry Wilmore and Terry Virts.
And we want to take the opportunity just briefly to wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
From church services to service in the community to Afghanistan, sacrifice and commitment were themes of the day.
I love you and I miss you, and I hope you enjoy your Christmas with family.
In New York, volunteers delivered meals to elderly people at home.
It's lonely to be by yourself, particularly on a holiday. So it's really heartwarming and I think brightens their days.
In Los Angeles,
I got this big toy.
Toys for homeless boys and girls, something good to eat. Overseas, a Christmas Mass in Bethlehem. The royal family headed off to church in Mass. The Queen spoke of reconciliation.
Peace and goodwill have lasting power in the hearts of men and women.
And at the Vatican, Pope Francis offered blessings of hope for the suffering, rebukes for acts that cause it, thanks to those on the front lines of the Ebola fight, where despite sickness and death, they tried keeping spirits high in Sierra Leone. There was Christmas whimsy too. A frosty dip in Germany, sun and sand in Australia, elephants bearing gifts in Thailand. Back here at home, special deliveries were bundled with care in Pittsburgh. Volunteers struck a chord at a D.C. shelter.
Merry Christmas, Colin!
And the world's busiest man recruited a little firepower in Tucson, Arizona, bringing cheer to kids who are spending Christmas in the hospital.
Any kind of diversion to their normal medical activity helps so much, and seeing the firefighters is really important.
Well, Brian Moore has more on Christmas Day as he wraps up what has happened across the nation.
A midnight screening of The Interview may have been an unconventional way to greet Christmas, but crowds packed the few hundred movie houses willing to show the controversial comedy. Theatergoers in Los Angeles received an unexpected gift.
We thought this might not happen at all.
A surprise visit by the creators of the raunchy romp that enraged North Korea and inspired a cyber attack on Sony Pictures.
Best Christmas gift. Like, everyone needs to see it.
Hours later, and a few miles away, families struggling to make ends meet lined up outside a Mission where little ones picked out gifts.
I got this big toy.
And volunteers served up a Christmas feast.
I grew up in a family of 15 kids, so I know how hard the struggles can be. So this is bringing a big smile to me.
That spirit was the same on the East Coast, where New Yorkers distributed coats, and a Maine man handed out free lobster to families in need.
That true?
That is true.
Oh my God! Come on out.
President and Mrs. Obama paid tribute to the troops.
We're able to gather with family and friends because our troops are willing to hug theirs goodbye and step forward to serve.
And perhaps nowhere was this holiday more bittersweet than Afghanistan. Troops separated from their families, but hoping this will be the last Christmas of America's longest war. Brian Moore, NBC News, Washington.
Well, coming up after the break, we'll have the movies that are topping the box office. I actually saw Wild yesterday, so I'll tell you what I thought about that after the break. Stay with us.
From the KYMA studios, covering Yuma in the Imperial Valley, this is KYMA News 11.
Welcome back. Well, do you need a vacation from your vacation? Now that the shopping is done, the gifts are wrapped, lots of people head to the movie theater to relax. And there's a little something for everyone in the Hollywood box office, stocking. Here's Raphael Seth with a look at what's in theaters this week.
If I can take it, I can make it. survival becomes triumph in Unbroken. Angelina Jolie directs this story about an Olympian who survived 47 days at sea after a plane crash, only to be picked up by enemy soldiers and placed in a World War II prison camp. Unbroken is rated PG-13.
You wish to have the curse reversed?
It's a Brothers Grimm mashup in Into the Woods. Meryl Streep is at the center of this magical mystery tour that combines Little Red Riding Hood, Jack and the Beanstalk, and Rapunzel, and sets them all to music. Into the Woods is rated PG.
I got a military-age male.
Bradley Cooper is locked and loaded in American Sniper. He plays a lethal sharpshooter on his 4th tour of duty in Iraq, but as he returns home to his wife and kids, it's the war zone he can't seem to leave behind. American Sniper is rated R.
They adore you, Big Eyes.
Beauty is in the eye of the beholder in Big Eyes. Amy Adams plays Margaret Keane, an artist whose husband who becomes a huge success in the 1950s by taking credit for her art. Big Eyes is rated PG-13.
You got me feeling lucky. I'm putting everything on black.
Mark Wahlberg does not know when to fold him in The Gambler. He plays a college professor engaged in some high-stakes extracurriculars, but when he makes one final play with his life as collateral, he goes all in on Calamity. The Gambler is rated R. That's the box office preview. Raphael Seth, NBC News.
Well, there are a lot of movies out right now. I know I want to see Into the Woods, and I got a chance to see Wild yesterday. If you like that adventure type movie, if you're a free spirit, I think you'd enjoy it. Well, China is calling for common restraint following the Christmas Day release of the controversial film The Interview, despite threats from a computer hacking group. The Sony Pictures film about a fictional plot to assassinate North Korean leader Kim Jong-il opened in more than 300 movie theaters across the U.S. Thursday, which made the comment during a news conference in Beijing, which is North Korea's only major ally. Although Kim Jong-un is not a popular figure in the country, Sony this week backtracked from its original decision to cancel the release of The Interview. After major U.S. theater chains pulled out because of threats of violence by a computer hacking group that claimed responsibility for the destructive cyber attack on Sony last month, the U.S. blames the cyber attack on North Korea. But Pyongyang says it's not responsible. Well, Seth Rogen is thanking people who came out to see The Interview, as you saw in Hollywood Minute. But despite threats from North Korea, and Jennifer Lawrence also surprised some of her youngest fans. Mary Mueller has those stories and more in today's Hollywood Minute.
Actor Seth Rogen surprised moviegoers in Los Angeles at a midnight screening of his movie, The Interview. He was joined by the film's co-director, Evan Goldberg.
We just really wanted to say thank you.
The duo let fans know they appreciated the theater and everyone for coming out. The movie that almost didn't get released because of the Sony hack now has sold-out screenings at select theaters and is the #1 watched movie on Google and YouTube. Oscar-winning actress Jennifer Lawrence gave back on Christmas Eve. She visited some young fans at a children's hospital in Louisville, bringing smiles to their faces. This is Lawrence's second holiday visit to the hospital in her hometown. Taylor Swift got to meet with actor Hugh Jackman on Christmas Eve and didn't leave empty-handed. The singer and her family went to see his show The River on Broadway, and later Jackman posted this pic. Reportedly, Swift attended a post-show auction donating $6,000 for the shirt Jackman wore during his performance, all to benefit the fight against AIDS. For Hollywood Minute, I'm Mary Muller.
Well, that's all we have for entertainment. We'll be right back after the break. Stay with us. Of course, it's only showing the back, you know.
Yeah, buddy.
Hello. And
blurry.
Back up. Closer. There you, better. Good. There we go. Stay. Okay. So we're opening up. You can come to me. Yeah. Welcome back. Well, I don't know if it's wishful thinking, but I say when it's cold outside, it should be snowing. How cold are we talking, Nick?
We're talking 40s and 30s. Snow, well, you're going to have to go up to Colorado and some northern areas of New Mexico to get any snow. For us, it's just, well, kind of cool, kind of cold also outside. And we're seeing basically the storms go all around us in a kind of a way that suggests that we're going to see colder weather coming in. When we look at our forecast, well, you know what, here's the wind forecast. When you see wind coming out of the north and northwest like this, well, that means it's cool weather on the way, and especially in towards Blythe and the areas north. For us, we're just going to see some rather cooler weather, and now the winds will get out of here by Thursday in towards the nighttime hours, so not going to be a big deal for tomorrow, but we are going to see plenty of cooler weather. And when we look at our moisture, you can see why. Here's the cool, dry air mass making its way through. Now, in front of it was this warmer air mass, so that's why we got up a few degrees the last few days. And, well, it's certainly a shock to go from a little bit warmer to basically not getting into the 60 days. 40s and 50s right now. Flagstaff at 17 degrees. Yikes, that's definitely winter jacket weather, as one of my teachers would say. Definitely weather for socks outside. Going to need them today. Temperatures only getting into the 60s and barely getting into the 60s. We're going to see most of the temperatures in the 50s throughout the day. And overnight, it's going to get very, very cold. Looking at 30s all across the area. Only a few spots remaining above 40 degrees. And when you look at it, 41 in Yuma is the warmest place. That just means it's going to be one of those really cold nights. May have to turn on the heater outside. Highs tomorrow only in the 50s and 60s. 59 in Yuma. So definitely a chilly day. Imperial at 60, and we're looking at 57 in Blythe, so plenty of cool weather all around. Now again, we are going to see those winds come out of the north and west, and that means cooler weather is on the way, and it's not just going to stop once it comes in. It's going to keep funneling in for another 24 hours, and then eventually we'll start to change it up. Here's that cold front. That's going to move its way towards the east, get out of here, and really give a good soaking from San Luis down towards the the Gulf Coast, and that's going to push its way towards the east, towards Atlanta. So not going to be the worst travel day, but going to be some issues if you are flying to some major hubs around. And then when we look at our future, well, this is what's happening. Our high pressure is sitting off the coast, and usually we'd expect winter storms to come from the Pacific and come down this way. Well, the next one's actually going to come from Canada. That's going to make it a much cooler air mass. So we're going to watch this come through Edmonton towards Billings, and you can see kind of it coming together here. And what happens is it gets squeezed off. So cooler air mass is going to set in place over the next few days. And that means cooler weather for your New Year's plans. So it's going to be a chilly, downright cold night at some points. Expect temperatures in the 40s and 30s as we expect the ball to drop. You know, again, it's going to be one of those cool nights as we head through. 30s and 40s overnight, 50s and 60s during the day. Much, much cooler than we have been expecting. Only going to see a brief warm-up Monday into Tuesday. And Wednesday into Thursday, rain might be in our forecast. Only a 10 to 20% chance as some light showers may be around. But again, cooler weather is going to be the name of the story. And you know what? Molly, I know I screwed up a few days ago. I said it was your birthday, but today's her actual birthday. happy birthday to Molly. And you know what? She's got the hat on, and you know what? I think for old time's sake, she's got to throw it on again. So
Oh, no.
we'll make her throw it on as the birthday girl. Congratulations, Molly. How old
Thank
are
you.
you now?
Yeah.
How old are you now?
That's for my mom and dad to know and for you to not find out. My parents are the ones who know the truth. Anyway, thank you for that report. Now I know that I'm going to need a jacket on New Year's Eve, or maybe I'll just stay in and watch the ball drop. So CNBC's Hampton Pearson has a look ahead at the day in business news.
Hello. Investors are hoping the Santa rally sticks around for a few more days. It's expected to be a light trading session today as many European and Asian markets are closed. The Dow closing at another record high on Wednesday on the back of reports showing fewer people file for unemployment in the past week. The Dow rising 6 points on Wednesday, the close 18,030, posting its best six-day winning streak in more than 4 years. The Nasdaq adding 8 points, 47.73 was the close there. Sony's online PlayStation Store and Microsoft's Xbox site suffered disruptions on Thursday in a possible cyber attack. Both companies say they're aware some users were having trouble signing on. An obscure hacker group called Lizard Square posted on Twitter that it was responsible for the trouble. Don't wait to take that gift card. Take it to Walmart. The retailer will let customers trade in cards from more than 200 stores and restaurants for a Walmart card, worth slightly lower than the face value of your card. You can check whether your card is eligible at walmart.com. About $750 million in gift card balances go unused. That's your CNBC Morning Business Report. I'm Hampton Pearson.
All right, well, after spending more than a day high atop a tree, the National Zoo's giant panda cub climbed down on Thursday morning. And Wednesday morning, 16-month-old Bay Bao Bao,
I guess his name is.
Yeah, touched a hot wire that marks the boundary of her habitat.
The mild shock scared the giant panda cub, and she sought refuge up a tree. Zoo handlers sent her mother up there, but basically the thing we did not want to move. Now it's put back in a habitat, and of course it's got plenty of time to enjoy a big Christmas dinner. I'm not sure what they eat, but I'm sure it was a
Bamboo.
nice... Okay, that's right. They're bamboo eaters. All I know is I enjoyed a big Christmas dinner, and I'm gonna have to go to the gym and work that off. I don't know about you, Molly.
Yeah, Christmas dinner. Well, everything was closed, and we just did not prepare. So, maybe you had enough Christmas dinner for the both of us.
Oh, I certainly did.
Well, thank you. We'll see you tonight. Have a great day.
Have a good one.
I was gonna say you should have like the panda workout at the gym.
Oh yeah, just.
Bye. She said we're out, but I still see us.
Panda workout.
It wasn't coming to me.